Welcome to the Bomba Pod. I'm your host, Martin Bomba, and each week we bring you meaningful conversations with guests who uplift, inspire, and encourage you to become the very best version of yourself. Whether you're chasing a dream, building something new, or just looking for a spark of motivation, you're in the right place. Produced by Dennis Ayotte and proudly supported by Window World and PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. Let's grow together. Let's be inspired. Let's get started. Hey everybody, it's Martin Bomba and welcome to the Bomba Pod. This week on the show, we've got a great guest, Danielle Gunter, who is a fundraiser extraordinaire in the not-for-profit space in San Antonio and South Texas, and we're really fortunate to have her here today. Hi, good morning, Danielle.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
No, excited to be here. I feel very honored.
Well, thank you so much. You know, the nonprofit space is something that I'm not incredibly attuned to on the fundraising side, on the operational side. I'm certainly familiar with many nonprofits, and I love contributing to them. But how did you get into the nonprofit business?
So when I was graduating college, I actually applied to work at different MLB teams. I was really into baseball and couldn't get a job anywhere. And I knew I was going to be moving back to Texas because I went to school in Wisconsin. And I applied at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And they said it was one of the top 10 places to launch your career. So I actually started in Universal City. I was hired. I did 2 or 3 interviews in a matter of 24 hours. And they hired me and I started doing sales and renting out cars. And after 8 months, my regional director came in and I saw him take his jacket off and take his tie off, and he started washing cars. And I said, I didn't go to college to wash cars, and I don't feel fulfilled in what I'm doing. I mean, it's a job, it's a paycheck, but it's not fulfilling. And I was always raised, my dad always said, give back to the community you live in. Both of my parents were very supportive of my brother and I always doing what we could to always give back, even growing up very young. My dad was the first to help. If there was some kind of flood or tragedy, he loaded up the truck and he said, let's go
What'd your dad
food.
do for a living?
So he worked at Randolph Air Force Base for a very long time as a mechanic, and then he started his own excavating and business. So it was called Perro Blanco. We had a white dog that used to dig holes all over the yard, and that's how he came up with the business name. But he owned a ton of equipment, and he would, pave driveways, install septic tanks, do all sorts of things. So I'm very familiar with a lot of manual labor, and if I ever fail in life, I can survey land with the best of them because he has
It's nice to know that you can fall back on it if you have to, right?
I used to put on job applications. I'm like, I can operate a backhoe, a bulldozer, a D3, like you name it, I can do it. Because my dad, he would always make my brother and I, he's like, get up there, let me see what you can do. And I'm like, here we go. Thankfully, we had enough space. I didn't damage anything.
I'll tell you what, any boy that I grew up with would have killed to have that.
Yes.
In his youth, getting up and playing on a full-size toy.
Oh, my brother loved it. Myself, on the other hand, I was like, this is not really for me. I want something with AC. I need a little bit more air conditioning.
More of a girly girl.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I get it.
But no, and so once I realized that this was not going to be my job that I wanted to do long term, I applied for a job with the Muscular Dystrophy Association down in Corpus Christi. And I was hired on as a fundraising coordinator. I did that for 4 months before I became the executive director of the Coastal Bend chapter.
What took you so long?
Right?
4 months.
I know. Gosh, should have done it in 2. But it was a really exciting time for me. It was my first real opportunity getting paid to do philanthropy work. I had done it all through college and high school and different things, but this was really a chance for me I was in a brand new city of Corpus. I'd never been there, had never really fundraised on that level or that capacity. So it was exciting that in just a short period of time, they were able to see my potential and see what I could do and let me essentially run with it. And so I was there for several years and then just continued from there. And I was incredibly appreciative. I wasn't a mom at the time when I worked there, but meeting some of the kids that had muscular dystrophy and really understanding their story and learning from the parents how that emotional struggle is for them and then physically and emotional for the kids as well. It was a lot, but once I became a parent, it really took a toll on me and really kind of made me open my eyes and realize how precious and what a great opportunity is to be a parent and to have, children and all of that. But it was a great organization. I loved it. And I ended up moving back to San Antonio and didn't transfer with them. And so then I Went to the American Heart Association, and now I'm with Texas Yes and Puppy Food Bank. So,
So you've stayed in that nonprofit
yes.
space that whole time.
Yes, I honestly don't know what I would do if I wasn't working for nonprofit. When my dad always constantly was saying, "Give back to the community, give back to the community," I didn't necessarily understand the different capacities and how you could do that. It may not always be financially; it may just be with time. But to actually be able to wake up and love going to work every day and knowing that I'm making a difference for the students I serve, for the rescues we support, it really fulfills me, and I can't imagine doing anything else. And there's, a ton of nonprofits in every community. But there are certain ones that I will work for, and others I don't have that passion. They do great work, but it's just not something that I'm passionate about. Whereas kids and animals and the underserved community is really where I just feel my calling and feel my heart being pulled to.
Well, the way I look at it, it's kind of like serving on a board. Everybody says don't volunteer to serve on a board because it will never end, and
Yes.
everybody will ask you to serve on a board. Nonprofits are kind of like that too. If you devote your time and your efforts to one, and you become known in that space, then everybody wants you to to go out and fundraise for them too,
Yes.
which is which is which is absolutely admirable. And if that's your calling, I agree that's what you should be doing. But it's really something special to find your passion and do that every day. I think that kids have it mistaken. They don't realize that you don't start at your dream job.
No.
It's a rare occasion you start at your dream job. You started in car rental business. I started in fixing fences and hauling hay and things like that. It certainly wasn't what I wanted to do in the beginning, but getting that start and like you said, getting your career started, I think is extremely important. So in Corpus Christi, what was your favorite thing in Corpus Christi other than the fundraising?
Okay, so I was not a beach person. I was like, I don't want to be
Boy, were
covered
you
in
in the wrong
sand.
place.
I know. And the humidity down there, my hair never
Off
looked
off the
good at all.
charts.
But I really loved the culture and the people down there. And that was something, I honestly, other than my boyfriend at the time, I didn't know anybody else down there. So I really built a whole network of friends and people that I'm still connected with to this day. And I ended up meeting at the time I met my husband down there. And so that was, I'm always like, I'll never regret moving to Corpus because I met my husband. I have two beautiful kids because of it. I still have the kids, not the husband. But it was such an opportunity and such a learning point for me. But I really did love the culture and I had so much fun. I would go dancing during the week at the little like bars and clubs and stuff, and I really enjoyed that. And it was just something completely different than what I was used to, and it was fun. I still don't like the beach. I prefer lake or maybe a small pond or pool.
Something not so sticky.
Something not so sticky, something with less humidity, but it's definitely a great place to visit. And I still go down there quite a bit just for work. And then I spent majority of my last summer down there with my kids. They enjoy it a lot, so I suck it up for them. But yeah, I don't like sand all over me.
Yeah, it gets a little
Yeah.
gritty. I understand that. I would bet you that you more than once saw the inside of Whiskey River, didn't you?
Okay, so that's actually where I had met my ex-husband at.
There you
Yes,
go.
was Whiskey River. I asked him to dance. So I have it's interesting. I have been known that when I see what I want, I tend to go after it. When I have goals, I go after it. And he was something that I saw him dance and I said, I'm gonna dance with that man. And so I did.
Well, there
So
you go. Well,
yes.
when you know, you know.
Yes.
Do you still enjoy going out and dancing?
I do. I don't get to do it as often, but I do love to two-step, and I love live music, and I love being able to be surrounded. But as I've gotten older, I'm gonna blame it on age. I don't necessarily like the larger crowds, so I'm good with smaller venues. I've gone to Whitewater so many times now, and I love floors, but even all those spaces have just gotten to be so crowded when they
Oh
have
yeah.
events and everything. But yes, I love live music. My playlist is probably a little bit all over, but I would say country wise, I always constantly have Hudson Westbrook on my playlist because I love his music and I just really enjoy his songs. And going through the last, I would say, 18 months of my life, a lot of his songs resonate with me. And so he is my focus. I always have to have him playing.
He's blown up.
He is. He is. And I saw him at the rodeo this year. And we also, he's coming to Whitewater in August. And so I'm
That's
hoping to
right.
go. Yeah.
They opened for George Strait in Lubbock a
Hmm.
week ago,
Yes.
and my my wife and I sponsor a thing called the Sideman Song Swap
Okay.
in New Braunfels. New Braunfels has a phenomenal, I mean, you know this, they have a phenomenal music scene, and a lot of great artists live there. Well, Michael Kelton, the drummer for Pat Green, has become a good friend, and he hosts this thing once a month at the Redbird Listening Room. It's
Okay.
not any dancing, there's not any hoopla. It's very laid back, it's very chill, but it's just two guys with guitars playing and swapping songs about the road and about how they wrote this song or that song. Well, his guest on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, was Hudson's guitar player.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Super cool guy.
That's awesome.
Super cool guy and a great guitar player.
That's really awesome. I always joke around because I tell people back in my day, I used to see Pat Green when he was at Green Hall, and it was like $8 to get in,
Yeah.
and he was nothing at the time. And I actually took his music to Ripon, Wisconsin, which is where I went to college. And everybody's like, "Who is this?" And I'm like, "It's Pat Green. You haven't heard of him?" And it was such a phenomenal thing, the old school, the Wave on Wave, and
Oh,
all
of
those
course.
classic songs. And I just always think it's so funny because I'm like, gosh, I am finally at that point where I say, well, back in my day, because it truly was. It was so cheap to be able to go and see him play at Green Hall, and it was just fun and carefree. And now, I mean, I don't even know what his concerts go for now. So,
So before your time, there was a place called Texas Dance Hall on 281.
okay.
Then it became Parrish and Company.
Okay.
Parrish and Company now is out on 46. They built their own place out there, but it's this big dance hall. It was kind of like, did you ever go to Bluebonnet Palace
Yes.
when it was open?
Yes.
Okay,
Hmm.
so it was like Bluebonnet Palace, kind of, but nicer. And I had a ticket stub from 84, maybe 83, and it was George Strait. And I want to say that the face value on it was $8 to see George Strait at a club in at that time. And seeing things on that level, and then seeing them I will take George in a club setting anytime over an arena. Now I know that that's not
Yeah.
where he's at anymore, and hasn't been for years and years.
Yeah.
But same with like Hudson Westbrook. He's kind of in a unique position musically, that you can catch him on a stage with George, or you can catch him at Green Hall or at Whitewater or
Yep.
someplace small and intimate. And I think that that's a great time to catch people. Red Clay Strays.
Oh, I just saw them. I went to, for the first time ever, I've kind of been building this checklist of things that I want to do. And so I wanted to go to a music festival. Again, large crowds and stuff. And I said, it's okay, it'll be fine, 2 days. So I went to Two Step In this year.
I was there for the last 2 years, and we didn't go this year.
Oh, well, you didn't miss much because of the weather that
Every
first
year.
day. Yes.
2 years that we went, terrible.
So Saturday, it was so freezing cold.
Yep.
And then the rain came and they canceled it. And then it was blazing hot the next day.
It's nuts.
But yes, we saw Red Clay Strays there, and that was my first time seeing them in concert, and absolutely just phenomenal, great. I was very surprised. The Texas Pug, I think is what he's called. He's half rap, half country. He was performing on the
Don't
big
know
stage.
that one.
There was such a crowd, and I was very shocked because a lot of the other performers were all country music artists.
Yeah.
So I didn't quite understand how his mix fit into it, but he was very popular. But it was a really good overall concert. I mean, weather, you can't do anything about it. But this was the first year, I will tell you, they did offer refunds for the weather.
Really?
And so people got refunded for their admission on Saturday.
It's kind of funny, not to you because you went, but we were talking and debating, are we going to go this year? It was we loved going, but man, we have been snake bit the 2 years that we've gone. The weather was horrible. And as you described, Saturday,
Oh,
freezing.
yes.
Not this year. Last year was exactly the same.
Oh, really?
Rain, freezing,
Yeah.
horrible. I mean, we left early because I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
And so we just had this feeling it was going to happen yet again this year, and it did. But I will tell you that first year that we went, that's where I discovered Ella Langley. I had never heard of her,
Okay.
and she was not the headliner. She did play on the big stage, but she was not by any means. Same time, Zach Top.
Okay.
Zach played, then she played. Caitlin Butts, the first time we saw her play was at Mile Zero Fest down in Key West.
Okay.
And she was playing in the afternoon, and nobody had ever heard of her. And the next year, she was moved way up, and she had improved 100% from that year before. And now look at her. I mean, these are people that you can say, I saw him win, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think that too, always get great talent every year at that event. And I know Hudson's performed out there before.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, of course we missed it. And Ryan Bingham and everything. Because again, Ryan Bingham, I've been listening to him forever and a million days when he used to play the small town shows. And now, he's blown up a little
Now
bit,
he's
just a
Ryan
little
Bingham.
bit. Yeah. But it's just been so great to kind of watch some of these artists grow over the years and discover them when they're early on in their careers. And I love it. I mean, I've been listening to Texas country music, regular country music, just, I guess, probably my entire life. I mean, I do have to say, I did grow up on Kid Craddock and listening to oldies. So I do also appreciate oldies as well. I don't know what you call them now because I feel like my kids call my music oldies. So I don't know what I would call my parents' music. I called it
80s are
oldies.
considered oldies now.
Yeah.
80s are considered old. And here's something that's kind of sobering about age. Whenever I was a kid, whenever I was in middle school, high school, early, there was a big rockabilly resurgence with the Stray Cats and groups like, do you know who that is?
No.
Okay.
But I'm going to shake my head as if I do.
Yeah, do that.
Yep,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, the Stray Cats, old guy. Yeah. Go back and listen to them.
Okay.
They're great. It was a rockabilly resurgence at that time, and Brian Setzer was their lead guitar player, and I think that they're actually doing a tour this year again. They've gotten back together, and anyway, 50s music, okay, which is what my parents grew up with, Elvis, and before the Beatles. I can't think of them all off the top. Bill Haley and the Comets, and that stuff. And I thought, man, gosh, that is so old. And I liked it because my parents listened to it. And of course, your opinions are formed early about what your parents listened to. So I had a dad that listened to Ray Price, and my mom loved Willie Nelson, but she also loved Engelbert Humperdinck and guys like that. So now, today, the music that was the music of my time, mid 80s, all the way up to the late 80s, that's now older from today than the 50s were whenever I was listening to the 50s music as a kid. That's sad, isn't it?
That is.
Makes me depressed. Why did I bring that up? Why did you lead me down that road?
Oh, man.
Danielle,
Okay.
gosh. So today, but back to today, the music, it's nice to see the nation finally catching up with Texas and Oklahoma.
Yes.
I mean, Performer of the Year at the ACMs, who was that? Who got Parker.
Yeah.
Parker McCullum, right?
This year?
I think.
Oh, okay.
Was it
Okay.
Parker who won it?
Well, and he's
It
local.
was Parker who won it.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's local. It's so funny. My hairdresser's husband owns Next Level, and they're good friends. And I'm always like, gosh. And so they get to go to a lot of his shows and everything. And I'm like, that's really awesome. And he's still just as down to earth. Like, some people say, oh, celebrities and big artists, they're nice in person,
Nice
but then
guy.
behind the scenes, they're not. He is 100% through and through nice guy.
The girl that cuts my hair cuts his hair.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she'll say, "Oh, Parker was in yesterday," or this and that, and he played that Randy Rogers benefit.
His golf tournament.
The golf
I think,
tournament.
Right?
Yeah.
That's always sold out. I tried it. I love golf, and I
lucked
play a lot.
Oh, I
and
so
it's sold
lucked out.
Yeah.
Somebody gave their tickets back or something, donated them back because they couldn't make it, and I got a call and said, "You want to buy these tickets?" And I said, "Yep." So we ended up going, and Parker was great. Donating his time. Miranda Lambert is great about that. She was there. But we're going to see Parker at Red Rocks this summer,
Nice. Okay.
which ought to be a lot of fun. I've never been to Red Rocks, and what a
I
great
have
show
not
to go
either.
see.
It's on the list. The list. So.
But Riley Green was high on the list this year. Ella Langley broke a record, I think, with how many she took home. Red Clay Strays, they won.
Which I didn't realize Riley Green had been around a lot longer. And honestly, it wasn't until I had heard the song Worst Way that I realized, oh, he's been around a little bit. And I just hadn't put two and two together. I'd known some of his songs, but it didn't really register until everybody started singing that song Worst Way. And then they were singing the duet with Ella and everything. And so it was then I was like, oh, now I'm hearing his name more and more. So.
Well, yeah, and there's so many of them that are like that. I mean, you mentioned earlier, help me out here. Ryan
Yes.
Bingham.
Mhm.
Ryan Bingham was churning it out for years
Oh yeah.
before he hit it big on Yellowstone, and then everybody knew who he was.
Yep.
So that's that 15, 20-year overnight success that everybody thinks happens.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Well. Oh, thank you.
That's
I'm
right. I was
sorry.
like,
I'm
was
sorry.
it
I'm sorry. It
Parker?
was
I was
Cody
like, I don't
Johnson.
think it was
But didn't
Parker this
Parker
year.
win something too?
It was. I want to say last year.
Ella won everything.
Yes.
I think if she could have won male, she would have won it. But yeah, Cody, even better. I mean, no offense to Parker McCullum, but I love Cody Johnson. I love his persona. I love his message. He's awesome. Yeah. And another guy who's been doing it for a long time and finally getting the recognition that you would hope he would get, which is awesome. Well, I could talk music with you
Yes.
until the end of the show
Sorry.
easily, and I would if I didn't have so much other great stuff to talk to you about. And we will come back and do that in just a few.
This is the future team.
Oh yeah, Window World, we've been family owned and operated for 4 generations. We can't wait to see what these little guys do when they take over. Okay, maybe we can wait. I think that's best for everyone.
Want service that's honest? Window World, service for generations.
These windows are seriously the easiest windows to clean on the market. Just a little bit of this glass cleaner, put it on there.
Window World has been family owned for generations, which means chores aren't just chores, they're part of professional development.
You got this, Layla. It's wax on, wax off.
Needless to say, things are a work in progress. For squeaky clean service you can trust, call Window World, service for generations.
Exactly. Well, and then they had the Randy Travis. It was almost kind of like a tribute. He came out and he sat with his
So he
wife.
was there.
He was there, and the other gentleman, I guess that's playing his songs or whatever. And then they had all these holographics and different things happening. But that was really cool and very beautiful. And he wasn't even on the main stage, which again blew my mind. I was like,
That is
I feel
mind-blowing.
like he should be on the main stage. Why are we off on a small stage? And
That
then it
is
was
odd.
so crowded because it was so small. And so I had built a fortress of chairs around me because I was like, I'd like to be able to see him. And I ended up having to watch him on the screen half the time anyways, because, 5-1.
And I know which stage you're talking about because that's where Martina McBride was. Okay, get this. Martina McBride was there on that stage. Diamond Rio was on that stage. Mark Chestnut was on that stage.
Who dictates which stages? Because clearly they need an education.
Because they want the up-and-coming hot thing on the main stage. You're not going to see the one time they had somebody up there that was not that was Hank Williams Jr. And it was probably because he refused to play any place but the main stage.
Chris Stapleton was good this year. We stayed for that one. But yeah, you're going to have to look up Texas. I think it's called Texas Pug, right? Do y'all know who I'm talking about?
Do you know that? No? Why are we not running this? Are we running this? Oh, were we recording? Okay, good. Good.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, we're back. Good to see you. We're just talking away.
Yeah. But yes, so you'll have to look him up because it blew my mind. And I was just like, how are you singing and moving around the stage, smoking whatever it is you're smoking, and still singing?
Come on. We know what he was smoking.
I'm like, I can't even do that. And I feel like I'm in a little bit better shape. And I was like, man, props to your voice coach or whoever. I'm like, they got you well trained. But yes, it was, and
Every year they have one act like that. One year they had Nelly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have
Interesting.
one act that's just, just kind of off
And
chart,
people love it. People love it. I mean, I heard more screams and cheering and stuff. And I said, oh, not what I expected from the crowd, because the crowd, again, is all in cowboy boots and cowboy hats. And it's almost like a fashion show, too, I've realized. And
A
again,
little
I'm
bit.
too old for that. I will go for comfort.
I wear shorts and tennis shoes and a
Yes.
T-shirt. That's what
I'm
I
like,
wear.
I don't care. I'm not here to impress everybody else.
Nope.
I'm here to be comfortable if I'm going to spend 12 hours here. And they let us bring in chairs this year. So
that's
we
good.
had or you could rent them. And I said, I'll just carry this. That's fine. But yes, so we were allowed to bring in chairs this year, and we just parked them. Nobody stole anything, which was
Well, that's good.
unbelievable. Yeah, I thought for sure if we left them, somebody was going to take them or claim them as their own, but everybody was leaving their chairs and it was fine. And that was one improvement. But again, I don't know if I'll go back or if I'll choose a different one, but Cattle Fest or whatever,
Cattle Country.
Cattle Country is the one that makes me a little nervous because of the weather too.
I do want to go to Stagecoach sometime. We went to one in Albuquerque called
Okay.
Boots in the Park,
Okay.
and Tanya Tucker was there. I forgot who the other lower acts were, but Blake Shelton was headlining it.
Nice.
A New Mexico windstorm blew up.
That dust is
we
no
had to
joke.
leave. We had to leave
Yeah.
because I thought the stage was going to collapse.
Yeah.
And they got everybody. Tanya was on stage whenever it happened, and
Oh,
they
wow.
rushed her off stage, and they made everybody move back because they thought the stage was going to come down too. And I said, you know what? This just isn't fun anymore. And we left before we got to see Blake.
Oh, that's such
And
a
I think he
bummer.
actually did go on about 2 hours later.
Gosh, yeah. I bet he is a really good performer. I feel like he really gives 110% and very enthusiastic.
Well, he's funny,
Yeah.
and he speaks to the crowd. He doesn't just stand up there and strum a guitar. He's entertaining.
So I will say when I saw Garth Brooks in concert years and years and years ago, he did 2 back-to-back shows. And again, I don't know if it's just his pure energy and the adrenaline and the hype. That's what I'm going to go with. That's what I'm choosing to believe about Garth. But such a great show. And we were the second show.
Yeah.
So it was phenomenal how quickly he rested and got up there and was just performing his heart out. And you could tell it was like this was his passion and it was his thing. And I was like, we're staying till the end. I don't care if we're stuck in traffic. I don't care if we have to sit in our seats for an extra hour. We are staying to the end because it was such a great performance and he did it with such heart that he was one that I'm like, I will go to every single time if I can.
Yeah, you're not going to sit down much whenever you go to see Garth. He's a dynamic entertainer. He really is. I'm not as enamored with him as I was back in the day, but he's still a great performer. But there's so much good stuff out there. Okay, we're going to come back to music in
Yes,
just a little
yes.
bit. Going to come back to music in just a little bit, but we're going to let's talk a little bit about the nonprofit that you are currently involved with and what Texas Yes, but it wasn't always Texas Yes Project, was it?
No. So I've been with the organization 11 years, and it's been such a transformational period for us. When I started there back in 2015, we were SAS, San Antonio Youth Educational Support Project. And we really were just, when the organization was started almost 30 years ago, it helped kids in the Valley and in the San Antonio area. And then when the Breakey family, if you're familiar with them at all, so they co-founded it along with Bob Wills. And the Breakey family said, we're retiring from the restaurant business. And so their other business partners kind of handled the Valley area. And we were still just focused in San Antonio. And then in May of 22, we received funding from one of our largest donors he wanted to start supporting the Corpus, the Austin area, and then eventually the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so after having several different email addresses, I said, this doesn't make sense. We rebranded to Texas Yes Project. So Texas Yes Project is a DBA under SAS. And I only have one email address now, one business card. It all works out. But we really were able to expand into those areas. And so we went from supporting 22,000 kids to now 80,000 annually with just one of our programs. And it's been a huge journey, but it's also been really emotional at times. What really kind of sets us apart from a lot of other organizations. So our biggest focus is we provide school supplies to Title I elementary students, and the status has to be 80% or higher for Title I status. And what we also do is that we don't collect supplies. Everything we order a year in advance. As soon as the school year is done, we're already ordering for the following school year. And everything comes prepackaged. We go into these schools the first week and we distribute to every student in that school, kinder through 5th grade. So nobody feels like they're being singled out. Nobody's left out. It's the same playing field for everybody. And we play music, we dress up in costume characters, and we make it this really fun 45-minute experience as the students are going through and we're handing them out. And it's doing a lot of different things. The first is it's letting them know that it's not just their teachers, what I always call the have tos. Like, there was like, oh, my parents have to say that, or my guardians have to say that, or my
Right.
teachers have to do this. but it's letting them know that there's other community members that are supporting them and standing behind them. When they see our sponsors on the box, they start to recognize them to the point where every year they're like, oh, it's the Ansira pencils again. And I'm like, that's right. Ansira Auto Group is one of our partners. And so it really does let them know that there's a whole community is behind them being supportive. It also gets them pumped up for the school year. It's so beneficial for the parents and teachers. The teachers don't have to spend money out of their pockets. They know, okay, every kid's going to come with a
And
box
these
of
poor
tissues.
teachers, they have to do that a lot now, don't
And
they?
they don't make enough. They don't make enough.
No.
I will tell you, my daughter was in kinder when COVID happened. And so I was her teacher for, a couple of months.
Gave you new
I am not
appreciation,
cut
didn't it?
out to be a teacher. There's a lot of things I can do. Teaching is not one of them. So I definitely think they are not paid enough. But yes, and so it really just gets them so excited for the school year and giving them that confidence to say, okay, I've got the tools to be successful. Now it's up to me. And we go into more than 170 schools across the state. We have a great group of volunteers and board members and sponsors that come out. And it's about 2.5 weeks of just traveling to every, so we're in Austin, Corpus, Dallas, Fort Worth area, and of course, San Antonio. So we travel to all these markets and we're distributing the supplies. And it's our largest program, but it's also the most rewarding.
How many schools do you hit in a week?
So I'll tell you in a day. So it depends on which district. So this year, for example, every district is starting at the same time, whereas in the past they've started at different times. So it's been spread out.
That's a logistical problem.
Yes. So I know there was one day where we were just looking at the calendar and we're like, okay, there's 9 schools here and then there's 11 here. How are we doing this? How many leads do we have to have? And so we can honestly, there's, down in Corpus, there's 19 schools. So in one day, we're going to hit 19 schools. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it's a little bit harder. There's more than 70 schools. So
Wow.
it takes a lot of
And
coordination.
Way more spread apart.
Yes, way more spread apart. But it's interesting. When we broke into the Dallas market, and I always share these stories because I think it's really important. People who have never been to some of these areas, whether it's San Antonio, Corpus, Austin, Dallas, they don't understand that the impact that we're having. A lot of people think, oh, it's just school supplies. And I'm like, what you're not understanding is some of these kids have never had their own school supplies. Some of them have never seen a full-size pencil. There's a story that I always share that one of my very first years, this little girl, she was in 3rd grade and we handed her the box and she was like, it's too much. I can't accept it. And I was like, it's a box of school supplies. Like, you can definitely take it. She's like, I can't accept it. It's too much. It's too much of a gift.
Wow.
And it was just the basic necessities to getting her started
But
for
to
the school
her,
year.
that was something
But
that's
to her,
special.
that was very special. And, it's very, like I said, I always tell everybody when you come to do distribution, it's emotional, it's humbling, especially if you've never been in these environments. And first year we went up to Dallas, I walked into a school, they're speaking more than 40 languages at this school. And I asked them, I said, how do you do it? And they're like, it's hard. We don't have enough interpreters. We don't have enough students. And nowadays, a lot of schools are very much on lockdown. You can't get past one door without going through another door.
Right.
I walked right into some of these schools and they're so involved trying to get these kids to classes and they're understaffed. And, I almost made it all the way.
They can't provide for security.
Yes, they can't provide for security. I was walking through the halls just trying to find somebody to help me. And, it's very interesting. And a lot of these schools in some of these areas, a lot of people think, oh, they've got enough resources. They've got enough funding. They've got this, they've got that. They really don't. The teachers don't get paid enough. The school funding is constantly being cut. And it really is something where we can go in and we say, okay, we're providing school supplies, but then we also provide greater access to literacy through our little lockers so that students at any point of the school year can go to one of our little lockers, get a craft, get a school, a library book, not a library, just a regular book, but it's books that you can't get in the library because, again, there's no funding for library books. At the most, they might have a $1,500 budget, and that's probably going to buy you 50 books if you're lucky. But you're not going to be able to get the cool ones that the kids want to read, like Dog Man or I Survived or the Dork Diaries. And so we come in and we provide those gaps, not just with the books in the little lockers, but we also provide grants to the libraries as well. And we're really trying to boost educational equality and ensuring that all the schools everywhere have the same level playing field. And that's why we really target 80% or higher Title I status for the schools that we support because we know that they need the most help.
So when you came into the program, when it was just Texas Yes, what was that organization raising annually?
So gosh, I think back about this all the time because it was a very unique situation where the Breaky family, if you're familiar with Carrie Breaky Richardson, she was running it and they were doing such a phenomenal job. And I was scared to death to step in her shoes. She did such a wonderful job. Her family did such a wonderful job. But I would say they were probably raising about $500,000. Because of the restaurant business, they covered a lot of expenses so to ensure that every dollar they could help go towards programming. And now we're raising about 1.5 million, and we're pretty steady with that for across the state. We have a very small staff, even though we are across the state. Everything stays here in San Antonio in terms of our staffing. So I have a program director, a development director, myself, and then one part-time employee. So it's a lot that we do, but it works for us.
That's not
It's
a big
good model.
staff.
No, it's
That's
not.
a very small staff.
Yes.
So when you have these events where you're handing out supplies to these children, how many volunteers do you typically expect?
Hundreds. So we always go to a lot of our, we have the same groups that come out every year. And then we go to a lot of our sponsors and we say, hey, do you want to come out since you guys are providing the pencils for the school supply kits, et cetera. And so we do have a really great volunteer group and support system, and we couldn't do it without them. And we have a phenomenal board. They all come out to different schools and they help participate. And so really, thanks to our volunteers, it allows us to get into every school and to be able to do that and have that presence with the kids.
Danielle, how do you raise the money typically? What are your big fundraisers throughout the year?
So we have a couple. Our largest fundraiser is actually going on right now. So it's the Drive Away for Education campaign. And we partner with Ann Sarah Auto Group where she gives away a car. And we have 6 to choose from this year. So we're in our 9th year of doing this campaign. And every year she makes it bigger and bigger, which is really exciting. But that raises anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000 for us. Which is huge because just our school supply program alone is around $650,000 is what it cost us. So for us, that's a huge chunk of change. We have an annual gala that's in the fall. It's Aces Wild. So in playing with kind of a San Antonio theme, we made it a little bit more Western so people don't have to get as dressed up. They can come casual. We love that. And then we have an annual golf tournament as well. So those are our 3 events that we do.
That's awesome. That is awesome. What does it take to go out and ask somebody, not for $20, not for $50, but to go out and ask somebody for maybe $100,000, let's drop it down, $10,000. Yeah, you're asking somebody for $10,000 for something that's intangible. You're not going to hand them something back for that $10,000. What is that like?
You know, for me, I learned really early on, it's a process. It's not something that happens on your first ask. I'm very big into relationship building and understanding what people have a passion for. And it may take 5 or 6, coffee dates or meetings or just sharing about our mission before they understand what it is that they're supporting and if they want to get behind it. And I really, truly think that relationship building is the key to being successful for those asks. Because if you aren't making the ask directly, but say you built a relationship with somebody who is making that ask on behalf of your organization because they also feel passionate about it, it's a win all around. And that's something that I have really relied on in my career is building these relationships and figuring out, who's connected to who in order to help make that happen. Because sometimes they might not answer my email, but if I'm doing something on behalf of April Lancier and she's making that ask for our organization, they're more likely to probably answer her email. But it's, I find really it's about relationship building. And the one thing that I really feel is that you can't fake passion. And that's something, I've shared earlier. There's a lot of great nonprofits here in San Antonio, and I've been, approached by a lot of them. Hey, will you come work with us? Will you help us do this? And I really have to have a passion for what I am doing. And I love working with kids. I love working with animals. When I worked for the American Heart Association for almost 5 years, I'm a heart survivor. Heart and stroke issues run in my family. And so for me, it was a passion that I really cared about because I live and breathe it every day. And that was something I really enjoyed. But again, I felt like I was called to do more. And working with kids has just been very eye-opening, especially here in the San Antonio market. And I really has given me a lot more appreciation. And then, of course, I love pets. So I also run Puppy Food Bank, and that fulfills me in that pet aspect as well.
Something I learned about Puppy Food Bank, and I want to get back to the kids here in a minute, but something I found out about I had no idea. It started here.
Yes. So Puppy Food Bank started here in San Antonio. We launched publicly in January of 23, and we really just started in the San Antonio area. So money that was raised here stayed here, and it started with, we had a couple of funders that helped kind of kickstart it. So we launched in January. We started distributing food in May of 23, and to date we are now in 11 states, and we support more than 30 no-kill rescues within those states. And yeah, we've just exploded, and we're still here in San Antonio. So it's myself, and then I have a customer service rep who helps answer all the calls and emails we get. And then I have a part-time program director who helps screen all the rescues, does interviews with them. She'll travel if she needs to check them out, make sure that they're viable. And yeah, we're a very small staff getting it done.
And you got some pretty cool spokespeople too.
Yes. We have been very fortunate. John O'Hurley is really just obviously super involved, and he has such a passion for animals too. I mean, he's the host of the National Dog Show for forever now, and so he's really great about it. And then Giancarlo Esposito, he has such a unique story of when he was growing up and he was saved by his family dog from a fire, and so he has a huge passion for it, and he's coming back to San Antonio in a few weeks, and we're really excited about that. And it's just been such a great opportunity to have these people understand like what we're doing, and that they want to get behind it and be supportive. And Ernie Hudson too. He's
that's right. I forgot.
Yes, Ernie Hudson,
the Ghostbuster himself.
Yes, love working with him. He's always had animals, and he's a big supporter of it as well. And so it's been really great to know that we've got these folks that are supporting not only do, and they're actual donors as well. So Ernie every year writes his check to us, same with Giancarlo, et cetera. And so it's just very much, they're not just getting up and saying, okay, we support this, but they're actually putting their money where they support. And we really appreciate that as well. And so it's been such a unique journey, and we only do one actual fundraising event. We do a golf tournament for that every year. And the rest of the time it's donors from all over the country, because we serve the continental U.S. We have 47 out of the 50 states that we have donors in. So,
wow.
Yeah.
We're growing it quite rapidly.
Yes, which we're excited about. And we always emphasize, we also help cats. I have to stress
I was going to ask, do the cat lovers get angry?
Yes, they will if I don't tell them about this. But yes, we do support cats as well. It just happens to be called Puppy Food Bank. We also own Kitty Food Bank as well. We just have not launched that. I don't know if we're ever going to, but we own the URL for that as well, just in case. But we do support cats in a lot of the rescues that we serve. And any money that's raised in that state stays in that state. So even though we have donors in 47 states, we're building up that funding, and then we start the research process of, okay, which rescues need it the most, and we'll start reaching out to them. And so we're in 11 states now, but our goal hopefully is to be in 15 by the end of the year, and then we'll just continuously grow from there.
Is the support for it as strong in other areas as it is in ours?
So Texas is by far our largest area that we receive funding from, but it's a lot of the southern states. That's the biggest area where, for whatever reason, we have a lot of issues, and a lot of rescues ship dogs up north because they don't have to deal with the heat, which is one thing. But there's, I think, a lot more regulations and control in the northern states. And so people have done a really good job up there doing spay and neuter clinics and working to get adoptions done. But here, especially in Texas, it is so overrun with stray dogs, and there's just not enough spay and neuter clinics to be able to help, like low cost ones, to be able to help support. And then it's lack of education. There's a lot of folks, and it's from all economic backgrounds, where they don't understand how important it is to spay and neuter, because they think, oh, my dog only stays home. Well, your dog could get out, or some other dog's going to enter the yard, and then suddenly you have unwanted puppies, and they're mixed, and they're not designer ones. And so there's all these different issues. And so it really is a lack of education about how important it is to spay and neuter your pets, and then also just resources as well, because it's become such a huge issue now. There's just not enough resources.
Well, I'm thankful that you guys are doing that, and that the support is growing.
Yes.
We, as I told you before we went on air, KTSA had their Puppy Bank food drive, which was a lot of fun, and John was here for that. I think
Yes.
Ernie Hudson was here too the
Yes.
week before,
Mhm.
possibly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great cause. Whether you have pets or you don't have pets, it's still a great cause. I don't know who doesn't have pets, but if you don't have pets, it's good for the community. And we talked about, how important it is to give back to your community. When we were talking about the Texas Yes Project, we talked about handing out school supplies to the kids, and that being a big thing that you guys do each year. What are some of the other things that you do as part of that program?
So we also have our Yes Reading Partners program. So we go into schools here in San Antonio and we read. And I know a lot of people think, gosh, how does that really make a difference? We read to all the way from kinder through fifth grade. And you would be amazed how excited and engaging the fourth and fifth graders are. Because I had a fifth grader before. So I was just thinking, like, gosh, I can't imagine my daughter being involved. But they get so excited because it's somebody new. It's not all their teachers or librarians constantly saying the same thing, but it's somebody new. And they make it fun and they make it engaging. And for us, the fact that we're helping them with their literacy journey is fantastic, because every district is always going to be pushing read at least 15 minutes a day. And for a lot of students, sometimes they go to the library once a week, sometimes it's once every 2 weeks, depending on the school size. So if you only have one book for 2 weeks and you're just reading the same thing over and over, it gets to be very tedious and it discourages your journey. And you may not have access to either go to the library again or have a public library that you can go visit. So we offer, not only reading to the students, it gets new literature that they may not have read before. It just kind of opens it up. They get excited because it's somebody new in the classroom. But we also provide greater access to literacy through our little lockers. And so with that, again, we're not only encouraging the students, but we're encouraging the community members, maybe their parents or guardians, and it makes such a difference. I cannot tell you how many people have said that their kids are being held back in first grade because they don't know how to read. And they're not spending the 15 minutes reading with their kids because the parents are working or they have other things going on and they're falling through the system. And then it comes into the school year and they don't qualify enough to move on to the next grade level. And it's such a huge stressor to read for 15 minutes a day, whether, you're reading to your sibling or to your guardian or your parents or whatever, but being able to have access is also part of that. If you don't have the access to
If you have
always
nothing
have
to
things,
read, how can you read?
you can't read. And so we've had a lot of schools actually contact us because they started doing book vending machines. There's a company out there that does these book vending machines, but unfortunately, some schools use them as a reward system. And I'm like, so you're telling me that I may be an avid reader and I may love to read, but maybe I'm not 100% following the rules. And so I don't get access to reading because you're not rewarding me. And now I'm going to have nothing to read. Like, it just doesn't make sense in some of these
Right.
schools. And they had told us, I wish we would have known about your system, your program earlier, and we would have gotten a little locker instead of a vending machine. And even the vending machines have a capacity of about 20, 25 books, whereas ours can hold anywhere up to 60, depending on how thick the books are, if we're doing chapter books, if we're doing regular books. And we go out every month and we're replenishing them. And if we get a call that they're empty sooner, we're out there. And we've got a great support system for volunteers in place to help with that. We have about 55 of them across the state of Texas. 2 of them are in parks. The rest are all at either elementary or middle schools or parent resource centers with the districts that we serve. So it's been huge. It's been beneficial. Monthly, we've gauged it serves about 14,000 students across those 55 lockers because we have so many books that are going into them. And that's been really huge. And so that's another program that is just making a bigger impact and encouraging the district's messaging of reading. And then we have reading in the classrooms. And then we also provide grants. And we do that once a year where we help kind of build those financial gaps. So we focus on STEAM. So we've added in, I know a lot of people do STEM, but we've actually added in the art component. So it's STEAM now.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yes.
Because the arts have suffered badly.
So we actually, in Seguin ISD, we funded a whole music program out there so that they could do some stuff, which was phenomenal. And we've done some actual art, like a pottery class and just different things. And so it's really been phenomenal to be able to kind of step in and help, because where else are they going to get the money from? And we don't have an overly complicated grant system because we don't want people to see it and be intimidated, especially if it's an art teacher who's never applied for anything before and she sees a 10-page process. She's going to be like, this is too much. I don't have the time for this. So we do make it very easy. We ask follow-up questions and we have a committee that meets, and then we're able to provide funding. And it's open. I will say our grants, we're really excited. They're open from elementary through high school. So our school supply program is only tailored towards elementary students because we want to get them early enough to get excited about their education and continue that excitement. Our Little Locker program focuses on elementary and middle school. And then with our grants, it's all grades. So really, we have a huge turnout every time that we apply for grant, or we have our grants open. We get a ton of applicants from all over the state of Texas and all grade levels that are trying to support different programs, whether they're after school or whether they're during the day. And some of them help 20 students, some are helping the entire school. So it really kind of varies, but we do add in that art component. And then we also add in the library funding as well, because it's very important.
So what you're saying is you do a lot.
Yes.
A
Yes.
lot.
Yes, we try.
Well, listen, we got to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to wrap things up with Danielle, and we're going to plenty more to talk about music-wise and fundraising-wise and nonprofits. So stick around. We'll be right back on the Bomba Pod. Thank you so much to our sponsor, PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. If you want to try the very best small batch roasted coffee that you're going to find anywhere, look no further than PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. 2 great locations to serve you in the San Antonio area, at Camp Bullis and I-10 and at 281 and Bulverde Road. You're going to find all your favorites at both locations, from wonderful espressos, macchiatos, you name it, they've got it, as well as some delicious energy drinks, as well as our signature granita. And beignets, yeah, you bet we have them, and they are phenomenal. Be sure to stop by the PJ's closest to you and try any of our wonderful coffees, teas, and pastries. Thanks again to PJ's Coffee of New Orleans for sponsoring the Bomba Pod. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Bomba Pod. Right now, I'm with Danielle Gunter, and is it Gunter or Gunter?
Gunter.
Gunter, okay. Did you have any stake in the great stuff downtown?
I wish. I get asked all the time, and I'm like, if I did, I'd probably not be where I'm at today. I'd probably have a different job, but that's okay. But no.
God put you where he needs you.
Yes, he put me where I needed to be.
So, Danielle, what's one of the biggest lessons that you learned early on in your career, something that was just a faceplant fail? What did it teach you, and what happened, if you can talk about it, and what did it teach you?
So I would say it was more of a very humbling experience when I worked for the American Heart Association. Growing up, I always felt like I had to prove myself. We didn't have a lot, but we were very well taken care of. We had food, we had clothing, we had shelter. Gosh, I hope my parents don't take that personal, but no, we weren't in abundance of money or anything like that. I never was handed anything. My parents taught me to work hard for everything. And I just, in my mind, always felt like I had to prove myself. And I was working at the American Heart Association, and I have been known to be called very aggressive or a bulldog because I'm very competitive. And even though I achieve my goals, I have very high expectations of myself and tend to put those expectations around people around me. And it took me, I'll never forget. So the American Heart Association, when I was there, it was, we were called an affiliate. There were 6 states in the affiliate. And even though I was very successful at what I was doing, I took a $280,000 gala. And when they hired me, I said, I'll get you to $1 million in 3 years. What they didn't know was that I knew nobody in San Antonio. I had just moved there. They had initially interviewed me. They said, okay, we'll call. I never heard. I saw the job reposted. I was like, I'm going to make you read my resume again. And I applied again. And then I got hired on. And I don't think they believed me that I was going to hit $1 million in 3 years. And I did. I did just over $1 million in 3 years. And it was very exciting time, but I was very career driven and career focused and wanted to climb that corporate ladder, so to speak. And I'll never forget, I sat down after I was number 1 in the affiliate, and the way that they did it is that if you, whatever your goal was, and then whatever percentage you were over that was kind of how you were ranked. And I thought I was going to get number 2. So I was like, I'm cool. Number 2, that's fine. Whatever. There's always next year. And then when I found out I was number 1, I was just blown away by it. And the person who thought she was number 1 called me up and she was like, congratulations. I saw the rankings at midnight. And I was like, I wasn't up thinking about it, but okay.
You're a little more obsessive than you are.
And so it was just very interesting, but I was just very driven. I had these high expectations. And she sat down with me and she said, do not leave dead bodies in your path to success. And I realized, because in my mind, when I was told I was being aggressive, I just thought, well, would you say this if I was a man? Or would you just say, great job, buddy, keep going? And so I didn't really think about it. I just thought, you
kind of took it personal.
I took it personal.
Yeah.
And then I realized when she said that to me, it didn't click right away. But I did realize that everybody's success looks different and everybody's path to success looks different. And just because mine might be a little bit more aggressive at the time doesn't mean that everybody else's should be either. But I think I was placing a lot of those projections onto others. And if they weren't at my level, seeming as if in my mind, they're not as good, they're failures. And that's not the case. And it took me a while to learn that and to kind of take a step back. And honestly, having my first kid and realizing that, yes, my career and what I'm doing is really important, but at the same time, so is my family. And I became a little bit less competitive. And I just realized I didn't need to be up at 9, 10 o'clock working on the next big thing and sending out emails and doing everything. I could still be successful and not working myself like crazy, but also pulling back on those expectations of others. Because again, success does look different for everybody. And it really took me a while to learn that and to understand that and to realize that these are people that I'm going to have to rely on, and I'm going to have to understand that they're going to do their job and they're going to do it well, and that we're all trying to achieve the same thing. But again, their path is going to look different than mine, and I don't necessarily probably want to be called aggressive or highly competitive. I mean, it's done really well for me in my career, but it's definitely something that I've had to learn how to pull back and really kind of understand a little bit more that people are different. Everybody's different in their path to success. And that's been something for me that has taken a life lesson. And hopefully, I mean, I'm still in contact with a lot of people that I've worked with in the past. So I don't think I've completely burned bridges, but I know that I definitely have had to do apologizing in my day because of just having these high expectations that I've projected onto others as well.
Well, and that is a difficult lesson to learn, I believe.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time too, to not put my value of a work ethic on somebody else,
Yes.
because just because I was a workaholic didn't mean that they had to be a workaholic, and it didn't mean that they were lazy. It just
Or they
meant,
didn't care.
or they didn't
Yeah.
care. Yeah, it didn't mean any of those things. With some people know it definitely meant that,
Yeah.
but with some of
Yes.
them it did not.
Yes.
So I certainly understand what you're talking about, and yeah, and humility is an important thing. It's an extremely important thing. However, with that being said, I've never known a truly successful person that was really great in their field, whatever that field is, without having some amount of that type A aggressive, competitive personality. You just have to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off, and why.
That's a hard lesson to learn.
That's a tough
Yes,
one. That's
it
a
is.
tough
It
one.
is. And I think it just comes a lot with time, and you also have to recognize that. And until she told me, I did not recognize it. And it took a lot. And I mean, there are days where it's still a learning process, for sure. And then trying to also, I have 2 daughters, and I want them. They love what I do, and they're always like, "I want to be what you are when I grow up." And I'm like, "Are you sure about that? Let's aim higher. Let's do something else." But I'm very proud that they also have been giving back, and they go with me to school supply distributions, and they're always asking what they can do to help. But also having them, when they say things and when they do things, have that certain finesse to it, so that I would never want my kids to be labeled aggressive or a bulldog as I've been labeled. And so really trying to work with them on that. And then also the expectations that I have for myself, they're 12 and 6. So I'm like, maybe not necessarily the same expectations, but trying to work with them about holding themselves to a higher standard, whatever that may look like for them is not what it is for me, but finding that perfect line of saying, okay, where do you hold yourself to? And knowing that just because, like, my 12-year-old is constantly saying, well, what about Gianna? And I'm like, well, she's 6. There's a different level of
I have the
standard.
same thing with my grandkids. They
Yes.
compare each other, and do you really want to be judged by that standard? You're 4 years older than they are.
Exactly.
You know?
And so trying to kind of teach that lesson now, I can only hope I can make that impact on them so that they're never in the position that I was in and being told, like, kind of leaving some dead bodies in the way. Let's kind of reduce that count. But yes, so it's definitely a very fine line. And I think it's something that hopefully if I work with them enough on, it won't be as harsh of a lesson for them as it was for me.
Well, I think that your kids will learn that by the example that you set. But I think, like, it's comparing, the thing that I think about comparing it to is there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence, right? It's a very fine line. And you can step over it pretty easily. It's the same thing with passion and aggression. You can be very passionate about something, and that's a great thing. People like passionate people, but people don't like jerks.
No.
They do not.
No. And yes. And I have had to do some apologizing and over the years, and definitely have taken what I've learned from that and just continuously try to do better because it's obviously you're a man. So I don't know if you've been called aggressive, or if they used a different term for it, but being a woman and being called aggressive and a bulldog, it really, it hurts a little bit. It also makes me question, like, again, would you say this?
Would
if
you
I
say
was
that if it was a man?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair question. There are certain things that as a society we project differently on women than we do on men. lots of things, from our sexuality all the way down. But it is what it is. I hope
Yeah.
we've gotten better about that. I really do. And I think we have. There's always going to be a segment out there, and typically those are the guys that feel very threatened.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
There are therapists for that.
Yeah.
So August, crazy month of the year,
Mhm.
box of dreams, all over the state. What is your go-to survival routine to keep up, keep alert, keep going? What do you do?
Well, and this is not something I should probably admit to. I think I'm like 500 points away from a black status at Starbucks. So if you are familiar with Starbucks, it takes a lot of ordering drinks. I'm pretty much best friends with the barista at the Starbucks in Bulverde and off Callahan. Shout out to my baristas. Thank you for keeping me caffeinated every day. And then I survive on Coke Zero a lot. But yes, and so just trying to. I'm also a very high energy person too. I wake up and I'm instantly on. I'm not a night owl, I will say that. So I'm very much on. And then once I'm home, okay, that's my time to decompress. So I think it's honestly pure adrenaline come August, because for us, it's our Super Bowl. We work all year long for this, and this is what gets us excited. It carries us through the hard times throughout the year, is remembering those kids that we helped impact and how excited they were to see us, and they high five us and they hug me. I mean, this past year when I was in Dallas, I had on just a crayon costume, and so many kids wanted to hug me and high five me, and they don't know me, but they're just excited to see me, and I'm giving them school supply kits. And so it's such a great humbling experience that those are the moments that carry you through. And so I think it's a lot of caffeine and a lot of adrenaline, I would say, is what carries us through the month of August.
So you're a coffee lover then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you been to PJ's Coffee yet?
I have not, because there's only one by me. It's off of I-10, right before you get to Lock and Terra.
I thought you were in Bulverde.
I am. Is there a PJ's in Bulverde?
Take the
Oh.
Bulverde Road exit, and it's you know where Rebecca Creek is, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Exit that exit.
Okay.
Look on your right-hand side past Rebecca Creek.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I will have to check it out then.
It'll convert you.
Okay. Okay.
Trust me. No offense to Starbucks.
Because you brought the PJ's coffee, didn't you, to the radiothon?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Debbie,
Okay.
my wife Debbie and we own two of them. The one on
Okay.
I-10 that you're talking about,
Okay.
and the one out on 281 now.
Okay. Well, tomorrow
And-
morning I'm going to stop at PJ's.
Got to try it.
Okay.
Get some beignets too whenever you're feeling
Okay.
naughty, because
Okay.
I can't say they're calorie free, but they sure are good.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
So what do you think, and take humility out of it right now, what do you think makes you a great leader?
You know, I think growing up and just continuously being in the environment of giving back and knowing that I've been an example, even, eh, I'm not going to say that I was, one of the popular kids or anything of that nature, but I've always had a group of friends, without realizing it, that I think they've looked to me and I've been able to influence them in different capacities over the years. I mean, I'm still friends with people that I went to middle school with. We've stayed friends all these years. And I think that for me, I've been very fortunate. There's times in my life where I still have an influence. And I think that that's helped. And I'm really big on relationships. I know I've said it before, but I really am of making those connections and just doing my best to keep those connections and staying in contact and just learning about people as much as I can. And I think for me, that's been really helpful in being able to learn so many different types of people that when I'm working with them, I can understand, okay, this is best how to work with this person, and this is what encourages them and what motivates them. And then realizing, okay, in order for them to be successful, this is what they need from me, and this is what, how I can help them. And so I think just constantly being aware of relationships and different personalities and the whole dynamic of it all has really helped me. And it wasn't always like that. Like, I will tell you, I've being, 24 and executive director at an organization is really pretty tough. But definitely, I've had to learn a lot about communication as well, because men and women communicate differently, but also people understand and process things differently. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the exact same meeting as somebody else and we regroup and they're saying something and I'm just like, were we in the same meeting? That is not what I heard at all. and trying to communicate and be able to listen and be heard. But I really just think too is that I also have a passion for what I do. And I think people see that when we work together, that I'm not doing it for a paycheck. I'm not doing it because, I'm bored or anything like that. I'm really doing it because it's something I believe in. And that's why I've been very particular about where I work and who I surround myself with, because I want to be able to have that passion and be able to share that. And I think that that's what also sets me up to be a great leader, because when people are with me and we're talking about a game plan or we're talking about an event or whatever the case may be, they see the passion coming out of me. And I think that that really does help to be able to say, okay, I want to get behind that too then.
I think you hit on something early in answering that question. That is that listening is so important. It really is. And I think that in relationships and business relationships, I think a lot of the problems stem from that, is simply not listening.
Yes.
And
100%.
responding the way that you should, rather than responding the way you want to while you're thinking of your response, which is not
Yes.
good. So Danielle, how do folks get involved with the Texas Yes Project or any of the others? But let's talk about the Texas Yes Project. How do they get involved?
So they can always go to our website, texasyesproject.org. We always have volunteer opportunities listed throughout the entire year. So whether it's restocking a little locker, or like this summer, we have restocking lockers, we have folding tickets for our Drive Away campaign, because we're still old school. So we print out all the tickets with the names, the phone numbers, the city that they're in, and we have to fold them all and put them in the giant raffle drum. So we are very old school with
Okay.
that. And our raffle drum is ginormous, but
And this is the car giveaway?
this is the card giveaway
Okay.
we do with the Answer Auto Group. And so, yes, it's very, very old school, but we have that going on during the school year. We have the school supply distribution. We're always looking for volunteers for that. We also have our Reading Partners program, always looking for readers to help go into the schools and read, and then just volunteering at events or even getting the message out. We have a great program called Little Locker Ambassadors that's tailored towards high school students that want to adopt a little locker, and they manage it for the year. And it's a great.
What a great way to get them involved.
It
And
really is, because the other thing too is that if you can start these kids understanding the meaning of giving back at such an early age, they're going to carry that with them forever. And we've actually had 14 Little Locker ambassadors this past year, and it was really exciting to see them all come together and share ideas. And then they did book drives and they did craft drives and they made bookmarks for their little lockers. And it was just a really cool feeling knowing that these kids actually are excited. They're not doing it because they have to. They're not doing it because it's mandatory or anything of that nature. They're doing it because they have a passion for it. And that was something that was really cool that we incorporated into our programs this year. And so we have those opportunities for high school students who want to get involved. And really, I mean, just throughout the year, we've always got a ton of activities on our website of how to get involved. So
that's awesome. I think that having a servant's heart is it's something that's in you. You can't manufacture it. But I also think that, like your dad and the way that he raised you and the values that he instilled in you, I think that has a large part to do with it too. I think that leading by example is a very important thing for a parent.
100%. They were part of the Lions Club here in San Antonio, and we went to the Lions camp, and we would serve meals out there during the summertime when there was a flood. And I never can remember the year because I was so young, but it happened in the Schertz area. And my dad worked with a lot of the folks that were flooded out, and he loaded up his barbecue pit in the back of the truck. We got in it. He went to the H-E-B in Seguin. He said, hey, I'm going to be buying all this hamburger meat and stuff. And they said, okay, we'll donate the sodas and chips. And we went to this mobile home park, and we were cooking hot meals for folks out there. And even the Red Cross was out there, and they were like, can we get a burger instead of a sandwich? And so we were giving out burgers and hot dogs, and they had sandwiches. And so, of course, they were like, we'll take a hot meal. But that hot meal to those folks, even at an early age, I could see in their eyes just to be able to have a hot meal knowing they just lost everything. And it was really devastating for those folks. And that's just how he's always been. The minute some kind of tragedy has happened, he wants to step in and help. And I'm all here for it. I'm the same way. My skills are a little bit limited. I don't own tractors like he does, but for me, just being able to give back and making an impact with these kids or with the rescues that we serve, that to me is very fulfilling. And I really do hope it's something that I can continue to do the rest of my life. I don't know, it's really funny. I recently was asked, what's next for me? And I said, I don't know. But for the last 8 months, I keep being called to serve in a different capacity and to be making a bigger impact. And I don't know what that looks like. Is it expanding on my current role? Is it, something different? I couldn't tell you, but I feel this calling, and I don't know what that looks like. And I'm keeping my heart open to it. But it's just always something that, my dad and my mom both have just been constantly serving their communities. And it's something that I think I will continuously, hopefully, do the rest of my life.
Well, Danielle, if I've learned anything from you today, it's that you're going to follow your heart and you're going to figure out that next step, whatever it is. Thank you on behalf of the kids for what you do and the pets and the animals. And I mean, thank God there's people like you that get out there and do this great work. I really appreciate you sitting down with me today.
Oh, no, honestly, I'm just really honored again. I grew up on the outskirts of San Antonio, and then moving here all those years ago, and just being able to have the impact that I've had and being able to do what I've been able to do. I feel honestly very lucky that I've been fortunate enough to meet the people that I have, to make that impact with the kids. And it's just something that I really do take to heart and feel so honored that I would be here today sharing my story, sharing the work that we do. So no, I want to say thank you to you, because I really do appreciate that opportunity.
Danielle Gunter, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on the Bomba Pod today. And stay tuned for future episodes. But great guest today. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Bomba Pod. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, post it, and help us spread the inspiration. Special thanks to our producer, Dennis Ayotte, and to our sponsors, Window World and PJ's Coffee of New Orleans, for helping make these conversations possible. I'm Martin Bomba, and remember, your story matters, your voice matters, and your impact starts now. Until next time, go out and spread some kindness. Make the world a better place. The views expressed on this show by the guest or the host may not reflect those of our sponsors.